It's nice to see you. Thank you for coming up on this, I'm sure, extremely rigorous day in the classroom the day before the holiday break. My name is Mr. Trickett. It's nice to see you. We have a panel of esteemed guests here today. They're all Wilson alumni from last year who decided and chose to get up early to share their experiences with you. This is their second time going through this experience this morning. So I'm going to do my best to ask some different questions. The way that this will be structured is we'll start by having them introduce themselves, talk about their majors and where they are currently in their studies, location-wise, and then I'll try to kind of mix up the questions to the best of my ability. Then when I ask a question, the students up here, will probably about 4, 5, or 6 of them will provide a different perspective. And you'll hear very quickly that their experiences that they've had thus far are varied. There's really no one experience when you go to college. A lot of that is dependent upon you, how you choose to make those experiences happen, and the location of the school that you're in. So first we just start. Maybe we'll start over here with Pablo this time. Work down. Introduce yourself to the audience.
So I'm Paulo Medina. I go to the University of Valley Forge, and my major is church music.
I'm Cameron Cavanaugh. I go to the Virginia Military Institute, and I'm majoring in French.
I'm Morgan Gensmer. I go to the Fashion Institute of Technology, and I study fashion business management.
I'm Jack Melanger. I go to University of Georgia, and my major is economics.
I'm Parker Leonard. I go to San Diego State University, and I'm majoring in environmental sustainability.
I'm Sam Paramore. I go to the Virginia Military Institute with Cameron. I'm studying history, and I'm thinking about putting on an Arabic minor.
Hi, I'm Andrea Kando. I'm going to Finance College, or am I going to college? I'm studying neuroscience with a pre-med track.
Nobody can hear you. Nobody can hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry, the mic side.
My name is Emma Destine. I go to Cheney University, and my major is bio-related with physical therapy.
I'm Howard Silla, and I'm going to Kutztown University for biomed.
Okay, well, thank you. Maybe just to get us started, we'll throw it to our panel to talk about what's your favorite part of college?
The freedom. I mean, at least for me, making your own schedule and living the life how you want to live your life. I mean, to me, that's the best part of college. If I want to do laundry at 12 o'clock at night, I can, just because
So
you have that
do your own
freedom.
laundry in college?
Yes,
Wow.
you do your own laundry.
Wow. Fold it too?
Yes,
And put it
I fold
away?
it too. Yeah, dryer sheets and everything. It's crazy.
This is an info. Maybe we
I
can
know.
get our girls to college sooner. Teach them how to do laundry.
Yeah, going off of that, you don't really realize how much freedom you have until you come home, and you're mom or dad's oh, do this, do this, do this, when, you're in college and you have no one to answer to. You make your own schedule, but then you come home and it's hey, can you pick up your sister? And I'm
OMG, yes.
I don't do that anymore.
Yes, Mom.
Yeah, it's tough.
Pick her up.
Going off of that, especially coming home, when I'm in college, I can leave when I want, and when I come home, my dad's like, "Oh, you didn't tell me you were going out," and I don't know how to respond to that because I'm just okay, I'm going out. I'm not really used to that, but also I like not waking up at what time? I forgot. I'm just kidding. At 6 in the morning, to be here from 7:30 to 3. My first class starts at 10 a.m., so that's pretty good. And I end at 3, and I have a 1-hour gap in between to catch up on work or eat lunch, since I normally don't wake up for breakfast.
Cameron and I actually have a different experience. So we go to a military school, so that means that we got to be up at, what time do you get up, 6:30? Yeah, I get up at 6:30, and then we have formation down. We have a whole, the whole corps gets out on the, it's called the bricks, but it's in front of barracks. We have an accountability formation, the flags go up, and then we have classes whenever, and then we have another formation at night. And we, being in your first semester, you're not really allowed to leave yet. So like they're all talking about like, oh, I got to go do this and be like an adult. So we get treated like babies, but it is like probably the nicest part for us, I would say, is like it's such a structured environment that it actually puts into perspective like how nice even just like a little bit of freedom is. Like maybe every once in a while they'll give us, it'll be like on the daily schedule, there will be like a 2-hour block where there is absolutely nothing. And it says like release from quarters, like do whatever you want. And that is so nice. Like you don't realize how nice like 2 hours to have no responsibilities is. And that's the great part about going to somewhere like really structured and metered is you really like cherish those like little bits of time where everybody leaves you alone.
Yeah, I think there's so many opportunities. Jack and Parker, they're both in fraternities. They're living their best life. My second week of school, my school was offered first pick to volunteer at Fashion Week. So everyone I know was at Fashion Week. I missed sign-ups because I didn't wake up early in the morning. But so I didn't go, but I'm going next year. But it's just like you can just like there's so many things to do, and you can just like with the freedom you can do whatever you want, and you can just the world is yours. Like the world is your oyster.
So we talked about all the positive things. What is the one thing that you wish you could change? What's the thing you don't like about the school that you're at, or just college in general?
It's a dry campus. That's the worst part.
I mean,
Sam.
Going off of what Sam said, even though it's a dry campus, people
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. No, it is a good thing. It's very great. Make sure you go to dry campus. But I'm just saying that people find their ways, but it's a dry campus. It's, yeah, I guess.
So there's still consequences, right? When
Yeah.
you make poor decisions, but you do have the freedom to make those decisions, right? No one's there to tell you it's a bad decision. Like wearing hats in school, you see that? They're out of
Yeah,
school
come on.
for first day they're back, they all
yeah.
wear their hats.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's like I think I wear a hat every single day. Like, and that, I mean that's just me. But like in high school we can't. But like when I'm in college, like I just wear hats every day.
And like your hood, like
Yeah, and,
sweatshirts. You can have your hood up,
2 earbuds.
2 earbuds.
Yeah.
You could
My
you could
earbuds.
honestly not even pay attention to what the
Yeah.
teacher's saying.
Yeah.
And
They
put
don't
in-
care.
They don't care.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's up to you to put in the effort.
That's a
And-
fact. So when
Yeah.
that I would imagine is a big change.
Would that
Yeah.
be your
Again,
worst thing?
to
Your worst
Parker's
part?
point.
Well,
No.
in my school, my professors, some of them, they do care. They'll still tell you, like, oh, pick your head up, or, like, take your head. What are you in here for if you're going to go to sleep? You're on campus, so if you wanted to sleep, you should have just stayed in your bed. Like, they'll tell you how it really is. But, like, some students, well, most students that I have class with, they actually respect and actually do what they have to do in class.
Yeah, I mean, like, you work towards getting into college, you work your butt off in high school, you apply for schools, you get all nervous, then you get into, like, whatever school, you work hard, you work with financial aid, you get a job. Like, if you're going to do all these things and put all this effort into getting into a school, when you get there, you might as well, like, don't show up to class late, don't have your earphones in, like, put in the work. Like, you got there, you worked hard to get there, like respect yourself and do what you got to do.
Yeah. Like that's like the biggest difference. Like in high school, like teachers are like trying to help you graduate. In college, like some of them just don't care. Like it's up to you to graduate, right? Like it's not, it's not their job to help you graduate, right? They're just there to teach, right?
And
They're getting
paying
paid
so
to
much
teach.
money, like-
So
Yeah.
Don't waste your parents' money, don't waste your money, like,
We
So
were
is your
we were kind of
time.
joking earlier when the students came in, because I used to be the high school principal, and we were talking about who the new principal is.
Oh wait, you're not.
And I introduced him by his first name
Dan.
to the students that are up here. And, it's amazing how when you go to Santander, you get your hand shaken and you get your graduation cover. Amazingly, at that moment in time, or I guess when we actually flip our tassels, you really become an adult. And with that comes all the freedom that we're talking about, but it also comes a huge amount of responsibility.
That's why I wasn't afraid to say that it was a dry campus, because what's Mr. Trickett to do? Can
Sam, I've always appreciated your honesty.
my greatest trait.
But that is, really that freedom is a huge positive, but it also is, the statistics of the students that start college versus those that finish is very concerning. And it really is your effort, it's your attitude, it's the mindset you take every day to choose to get up and not sleep, to choose to not put your head down. It's on you. And if you want to squander that opportunity, then you'll have to deal with the consequences. And
Yeah.
hopefully,
True.
this group of
One time I
students
just walked
doesn't
out
do
of my
that.
bio.
Hopefully,
Absolutely.
you come back in 4 or 5 years and and have a path.
I was really
So looking back at high school, you know, obviously you're all hopefully doing well. You're kind of, your roots are kind of spreading at your college. What was one thing you wish you could have done maybe in high school that would have helped prepare you, or maybe just to made your high school experience more fulfilling?
I would definitely would have gotten more involved. I mean, like, I was pretty involved throughout high school, but I was most of the time just involved just to put it on my resume, right? You're like, oh, well, college isn't gonna, they want to see you're involved, right? But you need to take those things serious because you're learning a lot more from the experience than you think you are. Because, I mean, definitely going to college, it's not just about the academics, like, you're living on your own, and that's a huge thing that you're learning to do. So definitely become involved. I mean, people always say that, but take it seriously, and you'll learn a lot more than you think you did.
One thing I wish I did too, being involved, yes, and also like just staying on top of my work. In high school, I realized like I really did slack off a lot because I could get away with it, but you can't really get away with it in college. I said this before, but my first semester of college prepared me for college because now when I got there, you know, obviously I went in with the mentality like, okay, well, I need to get my work done, but in high school, I really wish I like stayed on top of everything and like took everything serious and like, you know, just did what I had to do.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, I took high school as a joke, and half the time I wouldn't even be laughing. Like, as much as I'm saying I took it as a joke, it wasn't even a joke, because I'd have teachers, and Mr. Greaves even would talk to me and ask me, like, what are you doing? And I would be, like, looking at him, trying not to get emotional, because I know, like, I wasn't doing nothing, but, like, I don't know. I just wish I took it more seriously, because college is like, yeah, you think high school is a joke, well, it's gonna bully you. Like, college bullied me, and high school didn't bully me. So, like, I feel
Bully,
like
she means.
same thing. And yeah, take it seriously because it's not a joke.
I told this to the last like group, but like, you don't realize how much Wilson prepares you for college. I mean, like, you think it sucks, but you don't know what other high schools are like. Most of you, I would imagine. So, like, Cameron and I are way ahead of the curve compared to some people at our college because Wilson did such a good job preparing us for like college level work and like sort of like a baseline understanding of like how things normally go. So don't take Wilson for granted.
Also, though, I think I would like to think that I tried to get involved in high school, but I think sometimes a lot of times, I was way too serious about it, like whether or not I showed it or not. Like, I was too uptight inside, you know? So a lot of it needs to be just, you need to realize, like, put it into perspective and realize that as much as you do want to get involved, you know, make sure that you're doing the things because you want to do them. And you just need to slow down, too, because once you hit your senior year, it goes by like that. I mean, we were already done with our first semester of college.
Yeah.
You know, and we graduated, like Pablo was talking to me, he was like, we graduated the
Yesterday.
same year, you know? Like, we just graduated in June, and we just finished our first semester of college, like now, in the same year. It's nuts. So time will keep moving, you know? You don't need to worry about that. And I'm not going to try to get all philosophical and enjoy the moment kind of stuff like that, but it is true, you know? You don't need to speed things up because they'll speed up by themselves. So just slow down and take one thing at a time.
For me, I wish I would have taken more AP classes. I only took 2, which was AP World and AP Music Theory. And for me, like, AP World transferred, and that saved me a lot of money because that's a whole 3 credits, and that's a lot of money. And so, I don't know. For me, financially, it is a little hard, but like taking those AP classes and then trying to pass those classes to get those credits for college, like, would save you so much money. So.
Okay, so the last panel, we kind of ended with a question around what are you involved in now? So we just talked about what you wish you would have done in high school. So what are you either involved in right now outside of your academic course load, or what are you planning to get involved with maybe when you go back in January?
I'm currently involved in like the pre-med program. It's like they bring like a bunch of people that are doctors, surgeons, or some type of they have some type of involvement in the medical field, and they like do some. I call them like TED Talks. They just come and like present their research or their experiences through college, postgraduate, etc. And it's very interesting to see that because when you're involved in that group, it's like they're guiding you. So not only are you just getting involved and, you know, slapping something onto your resume for postgrad or whatever your plans are after college, but you're also like getting involved with people who are truly interested in what you're doing, in your passions and what you're studying. And that not only helps you now during college, but like afterwards as well. So you know what you're doing, you know who to go to for resources on, like for me, like your MCATs to get to medical school and stuff like that. Or what courses should I take for the pre-med track, which ones I should not, you know. So it's really helpful to get involved. You make those networking connections and get the right people to tell you the right kind of stuff to be prepared.
Do you want to go?
Okay.
Yeah, you go. You had your hand raised.
So I'm no doctor. I'm not as smart as Andrea, but I do go to a fashion school, and we have a student-ran store within our college, and you have to be part of the merchandising society club, which I am a part of, and you're required to work it every week. All throughout the semester. You guys have seen it on my Instagram story and stuff. But we made over like, I think it was $80,000 just the first semester. So like, but that's like just getting retail experience. I can put that on my resume now. That's another job that it's only 1 hour a week that I have to work, but like I can use it. I can talk about it. And every single week we have a guest speaker come in. So we've had people from Louis Vuitton, Zimmerman, H&M, Forever 21, all over like different range of clothing stores come in and talk. They offer us internships and jobs, and my school pushes us to get internships like second semester I should be getting an internship with someone. Like they push them like so fast. So it's like really nice to have these people from all over the industry come in and like offering us jobs like right to us. So that's a really nice thing.
So I go to a Christian university, and I'm a church music major. I'm hoping to become a worship pastor, and our school does has these like audition travel teams. Where over the summer we go to youth conferences, youth conventions, and camps, and so I actually got into that team this year, and so we have practices Monday through Friday from 9 to 12, and it's just so it's pretty intense, but we get scholarships, and it's just an experience, get connections, and
I forgot to
Monday
mention.
through Friday,
Oh, sorry.
9 to 12.
Yeah.
Dan Pablo.
Do you want to?
I was just really quick. I just forgot to mention, like, along with getting involved, also, like, think about getting a job on campus. Like, I got a job on campus, and it really works out because you get to meet new people. And I work in the dining services as a caterer, and they give you free food. And if you love food, like me, it helps because you have food in your room whenever you need to, or whenever you're hungry in the middle of the night, you can just go and they make you food. So make friends in dining services.
So me and Jack are part of Greek Life at our respected universities. I'm currently a member of St. Mackay at SDSU.
Yeah, I'm PICAP, but yeah.
Obviously, Greek Life for us, I knew at first I didn't know if I wanted to join a fraternity, because it's more money on top of your tuition. But again, you do get the connections and the networking that comes along with it, as long as, the social life that comes along with it. But, you always hear the stories or like the stereotype that surrounds fraternities, and, some of them are true, but again, some of them are not like that true. I know, at least for me, we take academics very seriously. You're required to study 6 hours a week. They log your hours. So, obviously, there are stereotypes about it, but, make sure that when you look at it, you don't take it with those stereotypes. You want to, obviously, figure it out for yourself. And,
Yeah, for both of us, actually, we're both coming from out of state, so I didn't know anyone going to my school, and there's like 35,000 kids there, so that's a little intimidating, but joining like a fraternity, I had instantly 30 best friends that were just in my grade, so that's pretty awesome. Plus, you also have all the other people already in the fraternity, and that's instant connections. Like, I don't know how else I'd be able to talk to a senior. I'm not going to have any classes with seniors as a freshman, But that's really helpful, especially for future connections, and also just like learning which professors to take. You know, certain things like that,
Yeah.
or which are the easiest classes, things like that.
Because you have a bunch of, actives, these upperclassmen that, have already gone through, 2-3 years of school. So it's a great resource to use them, like what is the best for me. I know I have an active that has my major, and he's been telling me, oh, you should, obviously take this class, he's a really nice professor, you're going to love this, So it definitely does help with, networking and everything like that.
Side note, with professors, that's probably the most important, for me at least, professors which professor you have is a huge deal in college, because say you're in English 1101, right? You could have one professor who's really hard at grading essays and others who aren't, and that's like a really big deal, because if you're taking the same class and someone's getting an A because their professor grades really easy and others don't, like, that's a huge deal, especially your early years of college, because you want to start off good so it's easier in the long haul.
Going off what he said about professors, like I had a math professor and nobody understood him. Like his English was so broken. Like you really had to I could understand him though, because it's not hard for me to like not understand people who are bad with like speaking English. And I'm also good at math too, so I wasn't even listening to him half the time he would speak. But like some people wouldn't even show up to class just because like they couldn't understand him. So like that's also a thing about professors too, because he's not the only math professor, but we got stuck with him.
Also, rate my professor.
It's an
Please,
essential.
please
Yeah.
go on
Yeah.
there.
True,
You,
rate my professor.
I'm a neuroscience major. There's only one professor for neuroscience, and it was just the worst semester. But just make sure you look at that, check who your professors are, because it'll help out in the long run. Your grades are important at the end of the day, and you're paying money to go there. So,
Now, can you choose your professor, or how does that work?
yeah, for me, well, I don't know
Semester.
about you guys, but like I get to choose my classes and choose your professors. So, like, let's say for bio, there's like 5 different professors, and they all teach at different times, different days, and then you get to choose. You make your own schedule. Like if you're not a morning person, don't get an 8 a.m. Get a 9 a.m. or get a 10 a.m. Chances of you getting them not so high, but like still apply for it, 'cause you might get it. Like I got a 9 a.m. bio, sweet, so I'm taking it. But just make sure you're looking out for that, and know yourself. I said this to the last cohort, but like make sure you know yourself. If you're not a morning person, don't get an 8 a.m. If you're not gonna wake up, don't get an 8 a.m. You're just gonna miss class. It's just a waste of time.
You think that like, oh, my classes start at 7:30 here. 8 a.m.s are
Worse.
way worse.
Yeah.
than
Worst
7:30.
thing in the world.
It's legitimately the worst thing in the world. If you can not have an 8 a.m., you're golden.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for us,
Retweet.
at our school, there's like, for like Math 102, there's like 8 teachers. There's like 8 professors that teach that class. So you just need to find like the way it works for us is you just got to find all the classes that fit in your time slots, and then whichever professor that you want. Like I know Colonel Lowe is a terrible professor. He knows that, Colonel Libertini is like okay at best, but, Major Patterson, pretty solid. So you gotta be able to talk to people. And that's like with us, like we're not allowed to have frats. Like Greek life was banned at our college back in like 1901. So instead of that, like we have our companies that we're in, and I'm in the best company because it's B for best, which is Bravo. And so like that's kind of like our Greek life is like you really only, you don't only associate with people in your company, but like that is your tightest group of friends. Like I've only known them I've known these guys and like 6 girls since August, and I'm like best friends with 90% of them because we're all in the same company. We all like live with each other. So
how about looking at your transition from high school? Obviously, we've talked about the time differences, and the way you select courses, those things are very different. But do you feel that there was a good transition plan with the university that supported you as you went from high school into college?
Yeah, I went to a small private liberal arts school. So our school has max like 10,000 students in it, so it's not a lot. And everything's like literally right next to each other, building-wise. So a lot of your resources are right next to like your dorms or something. So people you talk to and interact with daily are there to help you. Like financial aid, Sam was mentioning earlier, like be buddies with your financial aid department. They will help you with anything. $20 is $20. You claim that money. So like just being able to have that support from the community of the college itself or university, wherever you're going, is really, really important if you are that type of person to always be interacting with people and on top of your stuff. So just watch out, because some bigger schools, I don't know, I've heard that they don't have that as much. I'm not in a big school, but like.
I know for me, like the first 2 weeks I was there, the RAs on my floor, they would hold these like mini presentations about, you know, what you can do to make this as smooth as possible. And I mean, for me, that helped out a lot. I mean, because I know some kids were obviously like, I don't want to, you know, why would I want to go to a presentation? And, you know, but if you do go to a college and they offer something like that, I highly suggest that you know, go to it, because it does help out a lot, and it does make that transition a lot smoother.
You go.
Well, yeah, so for Cameron and I's school, our school is actually smaller than Wilson. Our school is like 1,600 people. Like, so the campus is like physically, it's probably not smaller than like the Wilson campus. Maybe it's like Wilson and like another half. But yeah, we only have 1,600 people at our school. So it's really small. You end up knowing everybody by the time you graduate. And they had this program, the summer transition program, where you would go. I mean, I didn't do it because it was like $5,000. But you went in August or in June, and you spent like, how long was it? It was like 3 weeks or something, right, Cameron? And you like knocked a class out. So you went over the summer, you knocked a whole credit out of the way, or a whole class out of the way, and you kind of got a lay of the land, like where everything is. You break in your uniform shoes and your boots. You like walk around. And then when you actually get there, we have a week, it's called matriculation week, like before classes start, where you go and it's all training. Like it's all just like us getting like to know the ropes on like how we have to wear the uniform, where to be at certain times, how to do things. So I mean, I never really got homesick, because it was like like you're thrown into the deep end, and it's like sink or swim. So it's either, you know, you can like mope around and like wish you were at home, or you can just like attack everything that comes at you every day. So that's the biggest thing, is like transitioning in. Like you just have to take it. You just have to take it on the forehead, just like head on. Don't like try to like eke it in. Just go to college.
Yeah, so it was obviously a little bit different for us, because like we had to completely like change lifestyles as to how you're living like with the military lifestyle. But that beside the point, like I think like they alluded to earlier, like Wilson does a pretty good job at preparing you, at least like academically and extracurricularly also, just with the opportunities that are presented. I know I said it in the last group, but like some of my classes in college are moderately simpler than the ones that I took in high school, just because like you guys have the same class every single day, and we won't get into it that much, but like we have classes like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, so it's like broken up, and it makes it, you know, a little bit more bearable. But at the same time, now that's not a bad thing for you guys, because you guys are working at a level that's right here, and not saying that college is going to be some walk in the park, but when you go from a high school to a college that is kind of operating at the same caliber, it's not going to be as challenging in some aspects, which is, again, positive.
I actually, the first few weeks of college, I struggled because like tests in college are, I don't know, they're just kind of different than tests in high school. I personally, in high school, I would just study the night before, you know, do all the work right before the test. Not a procrastination thing, but just do it the night before. But college, it doesn't work like that. Like you have to pace yourself right after each class, like make sure you know what happened in each class, because they just keep going. They could care less if you're following what's going on. So yeah, you just have to be on top of all your work and don't wait till the last minute.
I think with transitioning though, like most schools do an orientation. A lot of schools do it over the summer, and you go for a couple days or something. Mine was right before school started, so I had to move into school a week before my classes started, which sucked because I moved in on my birthday. But so like I had a whole week of just exploring the school, listening to different people talk, learning about the buildings and everything. And then I went right into school, so I already knew my surroundings and everything. I mean, my campus is very tiny. Like I said in the last group, all I have to do is walk across the street, and I'm in my academic building, so it takes me 2 minutes to get to class. But still, it was nice to like be able to get like awareness of my surroundings and stuff. So with that orientation that most schools do, I think that definitely helps with the transition.
For me, the biggest, the hardest transition was the financial side, because like I was already living paycheck to paycheck, but like I was living at home, so I didn't have to pay for meals. I have to like, if I like didn't have money for gas, my parents would be like, all right, here you go. But like I'm literally like the first week of school, I probably had $4 because of paying for books, and then oh man, I have car insurance due, paying for Spotify. I know that sounds really stupid, but like, you know, that's still $5 there, you know. So it like living paycheck to paycheck was like came a reality. Like there was literally moments where like the semester where I had $5 in my account, and that's how much money I had to put into my car for gas, because like that's all I had. So definitely like how to use your money, just make sure you plan out how much money you're getting and when you're getting it and what you're putting it towards, because like yeah.
Yeah, going off what Pablo said, financial planning, really good class. So a lot of people take it like
Yeah.
for advantage or just take it as a joke. I know I kind of did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But it's a very helpful class. You learn how to save. You learn how to do your taxes. Like we all have to do taxes. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, most of us have to do taxes. And it's crazy because, you know, it hits you so fast. And money, yeah, get used to $4 being in your bank account. It's pretty much how you live. Maybe even 10 cents sometimes. It's happened to me before.
Yep.
So just
have
get used to
$3.
it. Saving money is so crucial when you're in college, like especially if you're in that financial need kind of block of the spectrum. So learn how to use your money well. Work over the summer. I know Morgan kind of mentioned that she worked her butt off over summer. I did as well. I'm pretty sure most of us did. And that's really, really helpful.
that
So you can
money.
go in with some money and not kind of suffer the 10-cent kind of scenario.
Yeah,
So,
like, since I'm the youngest out of my family members, like, when all of my siblings went to college and they would complain to my parents and say, oh, they're broke, I used to be like, you broke? Like, but then now that happened to me, now they looking at me like, yeah, you see what we meant by we was broke in college? I'm just like, yeah, and I don't like this lifestyle anymore. Going to
Yeah.
college is fun and all until you really have no money in your pocket and you're just like, yo, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, going into college, I probably had about, I probably had like cash. I probably had like $1,000 in cash, and within 1 month, because you know I worked over the summer, and then I had a trunk party. So you know most of my family members handed me a couple $50, but buying books, and then like they have, I don't know if you guys use clickers. No, but
I ain't have to
yeah,
buy books.
but like, you know, buying clickers and like you sometimes you even have to pay for a link. If you don't pay for the link, you can't do your homework. If you don't do your homework, it's $0. And some of these links are quite expensive, like $150. Like I'm a bio major, so like I have chemistry and biology, and I have to pay for 2 biology like notebooks just to write my notes so my teacher can grade my work. I had to buy the book to write it down.
So the technology insurance fee is really not that bad. I guess.
Yeah.
The thing, though, that's probably one thing I like about Cheney, though, is we don't have to pay for books. They give us an iPad, and all of our books is online. But I can't really, I don't like staring at a computer or like a screen for so long. So then, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, how about, real quick, one more question here, just because I think we're getting low on time. How often do you come home? How often do you see your family?
Whenever they decide to come pick me up.
Yeah.
Well, Kutztown is only 30 minutes away, so you know if you're speeding, it's maybe 25. But I don't have a roommate. I don't live in a single. I just didn't pick a roommate, and a roommate didn't pick me. So I don't have a roommate, so I live by myself. So and I don't really have any. I feel like because I don't have a roommate, I don't really have any friends. I didn't really get any motivation to like, hey, do you want to hang out? I mean, I do have a couple bio friends who hit me up when they're like when they're failing too. But or not failing, but when they're struggling. So I come home often, like every other day. Like I come home, but not home, like home, like my friends who like are at home.
I probably come home every other week because washing clothing at school is really expensive, at least in my school, because I think it's like $125 per load, and then sometimes it doesn't even dry. So like I just it's cheaper to drive home. I live an hour away. It's like 45 minutes to an hour, but it's cheaper to wash clothing at home than it is at my school. So yeah.
Yeah. This is my first time home. Obviously, when you're on the other side of the country, we only get, 3 days for Thanksgiving, so I'm not going to buy a...
3?
Yeah.
Same.
3 days.
3 days.
I'm not gonna buy a $300 plane ticket to fly home just to fly back within 3 days. So, I mean, obviously I knew I wanted to go out that far, but sometimes it can be a little taxing, especially when you have your mom nagging you like, come home, and you're just like,
I like it here, Mom.
like if you want to pay for the plane ticket, you can, and, but so yeah, I mean, at least for me, Christmas break is the only time that I am home. So it's honestly just personal preference, if what you want.
I think it's one of those things, like, for students, when they're considering, where you want to go to school, you have to know what's going to fulfill you. If you're one of
Yeah.
those people that needs to be connected every week, going to Georgia or even Manhattan isn't going to work. You're not going to be able to make it home. So it's definitely something to
Cameron and
consider.
I, we get to leave, kind of like with what Parker said, we get to leave when they say we can leave. So like winter furlough, they literally like close barracks, like they lock the gates. You're not allowed in, and you have to be out. Thanksgiving, we get a week, and then spring's like a week in March. And so, like, even if you have a car, like once you're a senior, you can have a vehicle on post, but there's closed weekends. So there, like, sometimes they're just like, you can't leave, you have this to do, even if,
Let me
whatever.
jump in here, Sam. Thank you so much, college student panel. Thank you, students, high school students, for coming up today. That's time for you to head to your next class. Hope you have a great holiday break.
Yeah, I know.
All right, we have one more.
we have for you today a group of distinguished guests that all graduated from the class of 2019, correct?
Yep.
And are all currently enrolled in, participating in, is my mic off?
Hello?
Working on it. All right, now we're good.
Gets them every time.
They're all currently enrolled in different universities all over the country. So they'll be sharing with you today their experiences, the different strengths and maybe challenges that they've experienced throughout their schooling. The first thing we're going to do is we'll start with Parker, and then they can choose their own direction. We'll have an introduction of the folks that are here with us.
Different every time. So my name is Parker Leonard. I go to San Diego State University, and I'm majoring in environmental sustainability.
I'm Jack Melandra. I go to University of Georgia, and I'm studying economics.
I'm Morgan Gensmer. I go to the Fashion Institute of Technology, and I'm studying fashion business management.
I'm Cameron Cavanaugh, and I go to the Virginia Military Institute, and I'm studying French.
I'm Paulo Medina. I go to the University of Valley Forge, and I'm studying church music.
I'm Hawasilla, and I'm going to Kutztown, and I'm studying biology.
I'm Emma Destine. I go to Cheney University, and I'm studying biology.
I'm Andrea Kando. I go to Ursinus College, and I'm studying neuroscience with the pre-med program.
I'm Sam Paramore. I go to the Virginia Military Institute with Cameron, and I'm studying history with a possible Arabic minor.
Okay, great. Just as a point of emphasis, we are streaming this live. That's why we all have the microphones on, just for awareness. So maybe first question this time, talk to us a little bit about how you went about choosing your major and deciding upon the university or college that you chose. Obviously, the students at our school right now that are seniors, this is an exciting couple weeks because, as you can remember, all the acceptance letters and communications are coming through. So how did you choose your major, and how did you choose the university that you're in?
Well, I was always a big math guy, math and science, so I just went into engineering because that's just what you're feeling, right? But it took me 2 days in college to switch out of that because all the upper level classes were way too hard. So I switched into business, economics, feel like I'm a social guy, and economics involves a lot of math. So that's what I'm doing right now. That's possible to change. But my college selection was pretty crazy. I visited one of those kids who visited like 15 schools all along the East Coast. Started off deciding like big school, small school, medium school. Yeah, I wanted to go to big school after I visited Penn State. Thought that was like the coolest experience ever. And then after that, I just looked at all the big schools along the East Coast, like Clemson, Georgia, Virginia Tech, UVA, like all those schools, and just kind of got a feel for like what type of setting I liked. Talked to a lot of the different students at the colleges to see if I could see like a friendship with them, just to get the different vibe around campus. And then I ended up choosing Georgia.
For me, obviously, I always wanted to fly planes. I found that out like my junior year. But obviously, when I started visiting schools that had flight programs, I noticed that it's pretty expensive to train to be a pilot. So I went with my second option, which was environmental sustainability. And like Jack, opposite of Jack, I applied to basically every school on the West Coast because I wanted to, obviously have a new experience like that. And very happy with my decision so far. And I'm looking to do a flight program which is surveying forces up in Alaska. So, yeah.
So I'm currently on campus. Choosing schools, I knew that I wanted to stay semi-close to home, so Kutztown is only about 30 minutes away. It's not too far. It's not too close. I mean, that's pretty close. But, yeah, it's pretty close to home, so, like, if I need to go home, then, I'll go home, even though I do go home pretty often. But, I just wanted a different experience, and choosing my major, I don't know, biology, it can be challenging, but I guess, I'm working towards something like a doctor, maybe.
For me, my major at first was business, but I was in communications, and then I switched it to bio because I had to tell myself, like, just because I was like, yeah, business was my go-to ever since I was, like, younger, and I was like, I wanted to go to school. I was like, yeah, business. But then I was like, what's my plan, though, with business? Like, I didn't really have, like, what I wanted to do with business. So I was like, let me just go, like, to bio because I could get somewhere with that quicker than I probably could with business, and that's talking for myself. So, like, physical therapy, I like physical therapy because I had to do physical therapy because, you know, I broke a couple bones, and I like the way they do stuff and, like, help people. So, like, I thought that was more easier, but I know the classes for bio is not going to be easy. That's going to be challenging, but I'm going to just focus on where, yeah, it's not always going to be easy where you want to go. So that's what I had to tell myself.
For me, I was always very science-oriented. So at my school, I looked at all of the science majors, and thankfully they have like a lot of variety. So they can range from like anything from environmental sustainability, kind of like what Parker went to, all the way to like bio and neuroscience, which is my major. And I really liked the whole brain component of like the human body and anatomy. So I just chose neuroscience, and I really liked it. So now that's my major.
So I was always a social studies, kind of an English-oriented person. And I knew like a history major was not necessarily what you want if you want like a real illustrious career. But I knew it's like what I wanted to do, and I hate studying things that I don't care about. So that's why I picked that, and I knew that VMI had a really good, I mean, they've got strong everything. They're a great engineering school, but they're a really good like social studies oriented school. And I knew I wanted to go there because I applied to 2 schools. I applied to VMI, which is in Lexington, Virginia, and I applied to the Citadel, which is kind of like the same, it's a similar thing to VMI, but that's in Charleston, South Carolina. So I applied to 2 schools, got into both, and I chose VMI because I knew that it was like a little more rigorous and just, I don't want to say life-changing, but like it's like the whole 90% of your reason being there is to become like a better person. So that's why I wanted to go there, because I knew it would be a completely different experience from high school.
So to build on Sam's point there, I know a lot of students worry about their grades. They worry about can they get into the colleges that they're going to want to get into? Are they pushing themselves hard enough? You know, there's just this constant fear in high school that we're not going to be able to achieve whatever those goals are. Did you, I mean, maybe if you're willing to kind of share with us, did you maybe not get into the first or second school that you wanted to get into, or did you find that you really got into the majority of the schools that you thought?
I got into every school that I applied for, and like throughout high school, I really did like play around a lot. Like my GPA, most of you in here probably had a better GPA than I did, but I suggest you really do take your SAT scores seriously, because if I didn't take my SATs seriously, I don't think I probably wouldn't have gotten into majority of the schools that I applied for. And like SATs really help a lot, especially like if you did slack like I did. SATs, I don't remember what I probably had like a 10 something. I didn't do that good. I had like 1060 probably.
And you got into every college?
I got into every college just because of my SAT scores, because my GPA, I don't even think it touched. I don't even want to say the number. Okay, that's not funny, but yeah, you can do it. Like a lot of people, I know a lot of underclassmen, they still hit me up and ask me like, oh, well, what do you do when I'm scared? And at first I was scared, like, oh, it's too late, and I didn't take my SATs till like November, I think. I took it really late, and like I was just really slacking on what I needed to get done until it really hit me. Until I actually got my first acceptance, and then like I started really believing in myself, and even pushing Emma. I pushed her a lot to like apply to colleges. Like she didn't think that she could do it because, you know,
I was worse than her.
Yeah, she was worse than, and we had the same classes, so it's like, damn, bro. But you know, I pushed her to do a lot, and she even got accepted to a pretty good amount of colleges. So it's never really too late. And even, I don't know which one it was, they applied to a school a month after the due date, and they still got in and they're going in. So it's never really too late.
Yeah, so I was the one that applied a month late, but, so I didn't get into my first, second, or third school. I wanted to go to either like the Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, Coast Guard Academy, all these, wonderful military schools.
Which are very competitive.
Yeah, it's a pretty rigorous process, and if any of y'all are interested in that, that is, kudos to you. But I knew that I wanted to go into the military, but I also knew that I wanted to get a college degree, not necessarily to fall back on, but because I wanted to be an officer in the military, which is a little bit more of a non-traditional route than enlisting. But like I said, I didn't get into any of the 3 academies that I had applied to, which was, it was kind of like discouraging because there's a lot that goes into it, to put it simply. And it wasn't until I was sitting in like our French class one day and Sam was talking to me and he was like, dude, it wasn't looking too hot at this point for the academies. And Sam was like, why didn't you apply to like literally any other, there are other military schools than the Federal Service Academies. He was like, yeah, man, I'm going to VMI, and I started looking into it, and then that day I went home and I did the whole application in like the span of 2 hours, and I emailed the admissions office, and I was like, I'm so sorry, there's kind of unexpected plans, and like I said, at this point it was a month and a half late, and they were like, yeah, sure. And then a couple weeks later, I finally found out that I didn't get into the 3rd Service Academy, and then the next day the VMI acceptance letter came, and it worked out. And then thank God I actually had a plan B, and I applied for an ROTC scholarship, similar to like our JRTC program, except it's like the actual ROTC program. So it's similar to what you would get coming out of a service academy. So to put this all again simply, once I graduate college, I'll be in the United States Army as a 2nd lieutenant, and I'll then hopefully, the goal is to lead a platoon of about 40 to 60 soldiers and do whatever I am told to do.
Yeah, so so kind of like Hawa and Emma, I did like a lot of screwing around in high school. Like I graduated with a 2.4, and I graduated with like a 2.4. I mean, I did well like in some of my classes. I think I got like an 11, like an 1100 on the SAT. But I knew that VMI like really, because some schools they focus on like one test more than the other. So like my ACT, I got a 30. I think I got a 31 on the ACT, and my SAT was an 1100. It was like not good, and my GPA was terrible. But like my ACT score, along with like being an Eagle Scout, doing JRTC, and like a couple other things, like some of the stuff like within the school, like link leader and other things. Camp counselor at Camp Swatara. If you all have the opportunity to do that. It's legitimately the most fun you'll ever have in high school is Camp Swatara. But yeah, so that just kind of shows, like, I got into both of my schools, both of which are, like, pretty rigorous schools. But, like, you can, like, if your goal, like, if you have a realistic goal that's here, and then you have, like, your stretch goals, and then, like, your really stretch goals, like, if you're, like, smart, and you're actually putting the thought into those goals, that just means, like, you have what it takes. Like, you have what it takes to get in, like, your stretch schools. Like, most certainly. Because both of the Citadel and BMI were both like stretch schools, and I mean, like I really put like all the chips on the table there, because I only applied to those 2, and I applied like now, last year. So you can do it. That's basically what I have to say is like, if you have those goals, like you can absolutely achieve those goals as long as they're like realistic. I'm not telling you to dumb it down, but like actually put thought into like goals and like do goal setting stuff.
Yeah, when selecting a college, I think it's really important to set realistic goals of colleges you can get into. Like, sure, your SAT score may be amazing, you might have a great GPA, but just because you think you're an Ivy League student doesn't mean you actually are. Like, there's certain criteria that colleges look for in those students that you may not just be them, and that's not a problem. You just have to accept that. Like, you might get all hooked on like the top 50 colleges in the country, but when you look at the difference between 15 and 27, like, is it really that big of a deal? Because you're still going to one of the most prestigious schools in the country. So don't get hooked on, like, if you're looking at those really selective schools, don't get hooked on the numbers. I mean, there's still going to be smart kids at every school, and you just have to get in with the right group at that school.
Yeah,
Going
and
off
I'm like,
like, oh, sorry.
sorry.
You can go ahead.
Okay. I'm like a really firm believer in like what happens for a reason. And if a school decides that you aren't the best pick for that school, like you need to trust the school's judgment and that, okay, like I thought I was right for this school, but like maybe I'm not. And then wherever you end up, if you're happy or if you're not, you move on. Like whatever happens, it happens for a reason and you learn from it. And I think you just need to like, I was fortunate enough to get into my top school. But if I didn't get into it, it would have been for the best. Like there would have been a reason I didn't get in. I would have gone somewhere else, and like you just kind of need to trust like what the schools tell you and like what happens, and just need to like trust the process.
For the record, when you're on like those online things, looking at like the average SAT or average GPA, each college makes their GPA their own way. So say you have like a 4.0 here, that doesn't necessarily mean that that college will see it as a 4.0. For example, like WYO, they have a GPA that's different than us, so some kids are getting 4.7s. Like that's not even possible here. So
Yeah.
every college does it its own way, so don't get too hooked on that, oh man, I'm way above the average. Like on that certain website, you may not actually be.
So it's okay, what I hear some of you saying is that it's okay to get a B or a C. It's not going to break your or maybe deter a university from looking at, you know, you as a
It's okay to get a
prospective
0. I got a 0 in a class my freshman year, like a literal goose egg 0. And,
Don't
do that.
recommend it.
That's
It's
hard.
very
Maybe not
Don't do
that.
that.
Maybe don't do it, but I'm
Maybe not.
telling you right
Try-
now that it's
try and
possible,
strive for the A.
and I have achieved it. So, you know, just like shoot for the stars.
Steve Jobs over here.
Yeah,
And
really.
and again, it's not where you start, right? So many of you may have struggled in ninth grade. You know, ninth grade's a big transition year at Wilson. But hopefully, as you've learned kind of the system, you've learned how to navigate through school, you know, you continue to work hard and set those goals so that each year, you're kind of checking some of those boxes. Did you have something to say?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna add to what Jack was saying. Like not getting accepted into schools. My first school was Franklin and Marshall, and I got waitlisted on that school. And it's the same like acceptance rate as Ursinus is where I go now, or at least like similar. So kind of what Morgan said, just trust your school, the school you apply to. They may not think you're the best fit for that school, and that's okay. There are many options out there for you. It's not like that's your only school. I know I had that type of mindset where it's like, okay, if it's not F&M, I'm not going anywhere else. But that's not the truth. Like there are other options, and sometimes you're better off with the second option. Like Ursinus was not even in the spectrum of ideas to go to college, and then I ended up going there, and I absolutely love it. And it ended up being one of the top 100 schools that I didn't even know about until I got there. So it has its perks, and things happen for a reason. So
What's funny about that too is how like even if you don't get accepted to your first school, let's say you do good in the school that your second option, your first school might reach out to you and try to offer you some money so you can go there. Then you're gonna look at that email like you ain't want me then, now you want me now, and then it's just like just keep doing good just keep doing good wherever you go. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
And with all that being said, too, like, don't get lost in the prestige of a school, you know? Like, I remember I was sitting down with Mr. Greaves, like, about a year ago now, and, you know, we were talking about, I don't know, just not necessarily referring to me, but, like, it might be, you might be perfectly capable of getting into an Ivy League school, but if you want to get into that Ivy League school and be at the very smack dab bottom, or you could go to maybe like a sub-Ivy League and be at the very top, you know? It's multiple perspectives on how to look at things. You don't need to get so lost in the glory of some, you know, previously precedented name of a school, you know? It's not about, like, you're not gonna want to be the guy that goes to Harvard just to come home and say, oh, I go to Harvard, you know?
It's all about what you want.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Cameron, you know, a couple years ago, probably the year before, no, actually, it was your year. I think we were considering Decision Day. I think most of you have been a part of Decision Day, where students go up and they kind of declare where they're going. And what we found a couple of years ago is that because there's so much pressure sometimes at Wilson to be the best or to be excellent, students who maybe were going to, I went to Millersville State School, right up the street pretty much in Lancaster, and maybe I wasn't as proud of that, let's just say, as maybe Georgia or another school. But I think it's really important to hear our graduates say, you know, all of the schools that you're at are great, right? And they're you made those decisions based on what's best for you. not what's best for someone else or how someone else will perceive you, right? That really doesn't matter. You're an adult. You don't really care anymore, you shouldn't, about what other people think about your decisions. So I appreciate your honesty in that conversation, especially with the GPAs. So that's important for our students to hear.
I should say too, though, if you know Andrew Thomas, he is at an Ivy League school, but he's
Well,
thriving. But
Andrew is a unique individual.
yeah, but so if you can make it into an Ivy League school too, though, by all means.
And if it fits your temperament and your.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
your
whatever fits.
beliefs.
But
So
I hear-
let's transition real quick, just because we're
All
running, this period's going really quickly. Talk to us a little bit about the relationship that you have with your professors. We hinted on this in some of our previous conversations about their genuine care for you, how they support you. Any of those things are on the table.
I'm sorry. Who's going? Who's talking?
I don't care.
Social experiment.
So
I
many
can go.
things
I
to
can go. I go to a very small school, so my bio class is max like 20 people, and then my smallest class is about 8. So your relationship with your professor is very close. They know you by name, sometimes even your last name if you get that far, and they know pretty much all about you. And it's really nice, especially when it comes to like letters of recommendation. Like I'm applying to be an RA, a resident advisor, so that helps. Like they can give you letters of recommendation, and just having that close relationship, they can help you out with so many things. Like even like a history professor can help you out with like a class that you're in and you're struggling with. And it's just really nice to have that close relationship. It's similar to what we have here at Wilson. Like I remember I was always really close to my teachers, like Mr. Greaves. I spent most of my time at his office. So like it works out because you go from a nice tight community to the same thing and same warm environment.
Mine was the opposite of that. I go to a pretty huge school, and I mean, next semester, my smallest class is like 85 people.
Smallest.
Yeah. But I mean, like this semester is 30 people, but still, like some of my professors, like I didn't know their name until like halfway through the semester because you don't have that relationship. I mean, I know for me that's not necessarily a big deal because I'm just someone who can like pay attention to the lecture going on and understand it. But that's definitely a huge thing when deciding which school you go to.
My school is small also. Like, not a lot of people know about Cheney. Like, when people, where's that at? I'm just like, you just gotta, Cheney is its own, like, it's Cheney. Like, Cheney's just Cheney. But, like, it's near Westchester, so, like, and Lincoln is kind of the rival because they swear that they first HBCU, but anyways. And I feel like professor-wise, it's small too, like what Andrea was saying too. Like, my smallest class is probably, like, maybe 10 people that was in there. And it feels like, and some of the buildings, it's like high school. Like, when I walk in there, I feel like I'm in a high school still, and I'm just like, shoot, where's the college and this? But I'm like, it's cool because the professors, they're all nice, and we all get along, and some of them will joke around with you like they're students too, and some of them are more stricter, but they still know who you are and stuff like that.
My college is it's pretty big, so my highest like amount of kids in my class was probably like 130 of us, and that's like a chem, a bio lecture, and like my professor, like it depends on your professor. If your professor is like, you know, and it also depends on you and how much you invest in your work, because if you communicate with your professor, then they'll learn your name or get to know your name. You ask a lot of questions, you participate. Some professors, I know my chemistry professor, she learned my name. I don't know why, but she just learned my name, and like she engaged more with me. And then my biology professor, I don't even know her name, to be honest. I passed the class though, but I don't know her name, and like you can basically do what you want. They're not there to tutor you. They're there to teach what they have to teach, and it's up to you if you want to, suck in, absorb the information. You can have your earbuds in. You can walk out when you want. Like I ain't gonna lie.
You've never done that, but you could.
I have never done that, but I know some girl who just, you know what, I'm not feeling good today, I'm gonna leave, and they can't stop you. They can't tell you, come back, get off your phone. I mean, some professors do, but then my minimum class is like 40 people, which is like an FYS, but you'll learn that later.
That's like, what was I saying? When it comes, forget it, I forgot what I was saying.
So my school is really small as well. It's actually smaller than here. It's like 1,600 people. And our faculty, most of them live on post, like on campus. So there's like little like bungalows up like on the other side of campus where they live in. And if need be, like they tell you, they'll give you their cell phone number and they'll be like, yeah, I live at this address. And then you can, like, it's kind of a walk because you got to walk like all the way to North Post, and Cameron knows where that is, but it's like a 10-minute walk, and you can just knock on their door and they'll be at home. Like if it's after school hours, like they will be at their house. I know people that have had like dinner with some of their teachers, like that kind of thing. So it's actually depending on where you go, like there's a really tight-knit relationship that you can have with them.
Yeah, going off what Sam said about, you know, the relationship you have. I obviously go to a big school, but I know during orientation they really encouraged you to go up to your professor and talk to them and establish that relationship because it does go a long way. Obviously, if you show interest in them, you know, they're going to obviously help you out as any way you can. I know my RWS professor, I would always go and have like coffee with him, and we would talk about like, you know, my paper, or, you know, he would always, you know, critique me on this, critique me on that. You know, so it's good to establish a relationship with your professor because it will go a long way, and they will, obviously, if you show interest in them, they're going to show interest in you, and they're going to want you to succeed. So definitely, I definitely suggest that you establish a solid relationship with your professors.
Yeah, my first week of school, I mean, my teachers have to be in the industry, the fashion industry, for 30 years before they can be a professor. So, like, most of my teachers have owned their own high-end couture companies. And so at the end, the first week of classes, when we were introducing ourselves, we had at the end, most people, like, if you wanted to, like, establish that relationship, you'd go up to the professor, you'd say thank you for your time, you'd shake their hand, you dressed nice, you looked nice, like, you didn't show up to class as a bum, but also, like, I got extra points on my final because my teacher liked my dress. So, like, I go to a fashion school, it happens. But, so yeah, like, my classes are small.
Wow.
Yeah.
Clearly learning.
What? I got a dress.
You could show up in a dress for fun.
Yeah, I don't think I would get extra credit. I'd probably just be
I'd
ostracized.
I'd give you extra credit for it.
So, let's transition a little bit. I don't think we got into this in any of the other forums earlier, and talk a little bit about dorm life or residence life. Not all of you live in dorms.
My dorm, oh, sorry.
You got to keep
Go
it.
ahead.
Got to keep it high school PG appropriate. But share with us your experiences from
I
your dorm.
think my dorm
It's
is
amazing.
is over everybody else's
It's
dorm.
amazing.
That's what I'm gonna say, because my dorm, it's like there's quads, there's single. I don't even know the names of them, to be honest. I just know like there's two, one in the middle. Like there's another hallway. There's like single door, doubles. I just don't. The names is just. I don't know the names. Like, you confused?
Okay. When you walk into her dorm, it's like she has a big door, and like, don't you put in the code? No.
It look fancy.
Yeah,
but you
it's
ju- you
fancy.
just need your keys.
And when you walk in, it's like she has like a little kitchen,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
in a
she has
quad.
like her
I live in
own
a quad.
single mirror and
Yes.
sink, and then her roommate does. And then, you know, her big dorm, and then like, okay, let me explain mine. So I go to Kutztown, and you know, there's different buildings. So I'm not in the high up building because I didn't pick a room, or I didn't pick a roommate, and I picked a room last minute because I'm pretty sure the days that I had to pick my room and roommate, I was at Sweek, so I was not worried about picking a room or a roommate. So my room it looks like, to me, it looks like prison, and I got this little doorknob, and like I have the little bathroom with like 3 stalls. Like Wilson's bathroom
Are
is
there
better.
doors on the stalls?
Yes. The shower, I have like this weak shower curtain, and then
It's nicer than
my
my
room, I don't have a roommate, so I live by myself. I live in a room by myself. I mean, that's a plus, like, woohoo, but the room itself is terrible. The hallways is terrible.
My Cheney's over Kutztown, clearly. And
So,
My building just sucks.
So Cameron and I at VMI, we live we live with at least 2 other people, or with at least 3 other people. I live with 2 others because our one roommate left. He couldn't hack it. So on our rooms, it's barracks. So it's like a big square, and we live on the 4th level, which is 4th stoop. So you're outside, like you're out on like this concrete like porch thing, 4 stories up, and then you walk into your room. And my room is probably like no bigger than the tech room back there, and there's 3 of us in there. But like, just to kind of give you like what we do in our free time, because we're always really bored. I was walking around one day, and we have to roll our beds in the morning. So like you flip the bed over, and because it's a little mattress, you roll it up, and there's straps that you keep it rolled with. And I was just walking around, and over in like the Delta Company area, which is where all the wrestlers are, because they're really short. I walk in, and this room is like an 8-person room. It's huge, and I walk in, and I just hear like some sort of ruckus, a commotion from the room, and there's one guy being like with the straps. He's tied down to his bed. Like they're tying this guy to his bed. And then there's another dude in the back that's got his other roommate like trapped in the corner, and he has 2 shake weights. He has 2 shake weights, and he's like shaking the shake weights at this guy, and he's like cowering in the corner. And then, so like they strap this guy to his bed, and then they lift the bed up, and they're just like walking him around like upside down and like flipping him over while he's strapped to this bed. And I like literally had just walked in, I walked in the door, saw what was happening. They all stopped and looked at me, and I just walked out. I was like, this is none of my business. I have no reason to be here. But like, yeah, that just, it's the type of thing that, like, you think there's nothing happening, there's always something weird happening.
Yeah, so
Last
just,
more.
yeah,
Last one.
Just going off of that, I'm in a triple. All my roommates were all out of state, so that's nice. You know, you obviously have your 3 desks, you know, bunk beds, all that. You get a nice little mini fridge, a microwave, and I mean, yeah, I mean, it's pretty spacious. I mean, sometimes it can feel a little cramped, and obviously you don't have a lot of, you know, privacy that comes along with it. But, you know, I mean, obviously you're going to get to know those guys or girls, you know, depending on what you're going to be dorming in. So you're either going to be friends or you're not going to be friends. So it's honestly just to make the most of it. And also go to a college that allows like coffee pots and George Foreman's, because I got like this underground kitchen in my closet with my George Foreman.
He's got like a
Yeah.
grilled cheese speakeasy.
Yeah, basically. So
Cheney has different like dorms though. They have like, I live in the new resident hall. There's like a Humphrey, and there's like other ones in the Humphrey. They have a kitchen in there, but mine, we don't have a kitchen. So like, if you got connections and like people that you're cool with, upperclassmen or whatever, you could go there and make yourself a
Yeah.
full cooked meal in their kitchen if you really wanted to, because you can't do that in yours.
Let me just cut everyone off here real quickly. So, real quickly, to high school students, obviously, lots of different experiences, different insight, largely dependent on where they are, what their decisions were that led up to the school of their choice. Hopefully, you had an interesting experience today, sharing the experiences with our college students. College students, thank you so much for getting
Thank you.
up before 10 o'clock and sharing your insight, not only with our students, but with our counseling team and our professional staff. Thank you. Happy holidays. Have a great break.